Welcome to
Felton, get the out of here. Felton on the felt. You're gonna love this session. We're talking bluffing into the nuts, flopping the nuts, 5-bet jamming as a bluff, maniac real estate agents. We're playing some 1-3 in for $300. First hand of note, we pick up pocket kings. Second best hand in the game, King Kong, a fearsome creature. Cowboys, every Western's hero and protect. Ah, shit, of course, there's an ace. 3 ways out of position. We decide on a check here. We balance this out with some weak aces as well. Feeling better when middle position and button check back. Turn is the 6 of hearts. This board is just getting better and better for everyone else's range but mine. Looking back, I think I prefer checking, but as played as a donkey, I lead out for $20 and middle position calls. Hopefully, I'm charging a draw. River is an ace, which makes me feel slightly better, reducing the combos of ace X's that villain might have here. I decide on a check to allow draws to bluff. They bet $25, 3-1 odds. We have an easy call. We call. Unfortunately, villain has an ace for trips, and we're down to start the session. So if y'all could hit that like button to help me upswing back up, I'd really appreciate it. Just kidding. I filmed this a week ago. Your likes literally have no effect on the outcome of this video. Stop seeking control in a reality where you have none. Art is a lie, nothing is real. We top up for $100. We're now in for $400. We pick up 7-6 suited in the small blind. There's a raise to $11 in middle position. 1 caller, 2 caller, we call, big blind calls. 5 ways to a flop in the worst position. We flop top 2, no big deal. We check to the pre-flop aggressor, hoping for someone to bet so we can check raise, but the fish aren't biting today, and it checks through. Turn is the 3 of diamonds. We now have a flush draw to go along with our top 2. With this many people in the pot, someone must have a piece, right? So we lead out for about pot, and we get only the big blind to call. Blind versus blind now, heads up to a river. River is the jack of diamonds, giving us the flush in addition to our 2 pair. I'm a bit torn about what to do here. Most of the range is either miss straights with no showdown or 1 pair holdings. So I don't know whether to polarize and bet big, or bet small to get value from those pairs, or check to induce bluffs from missed draws. Whenever I'm in this spot, I do tend to settle for the compromise of betting small. So I bet $45, they call, and they show pocket 3s for a turned set. We were actually behind on the turn and needed to make our flush. I feel a little foolish now not betting bigger, but we take in a nice pot. Keep this hand in mind because it influences the next one, because we get in a similar spot. So this next hand, we have 6-4 suited on the button. Middle position opens, cutoff calls, I call, big blind calls. 4 ways to a flop in position. Flop comes queen, deuce, 4, 2 clubs, and a diamond. We have a pair and some back doors. Pre-flop aggressor, C bets $15. Cutoff calls, we call, big blind folds. 1 down, off to a turn. Turn is the 2 of diamonds. Now we have a flush draw. It checks to me. Neither player should have a deuce in their range now that it's checked to me, and I certainly can have some. So I decided to put some pressure on some queen X holdings. I bet $75. Initial pre-flop aggressor folds and cutoff calls. Pretty much blasting any non-queen or club river. River is the king of diamonds. It's a beautiful card to see. Checks to me, and I think about the last hand where I lost value when I rivered the flush. So I think I may have overcompensated and corrected here. And I overbet shove at $350. Cutoff snap folds, but later tells me they had a missed flush draw, so I wasn't getting any value anyway. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments. I always look forward to hearing from the YouTube comment chat pros. Next hand, we have Beauty and the Beast in the big blind. Say that 5 times fast. Beauty and the Beast in the big blind. 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 Tale as old as time, true as it can be. Believe in friends, then somebody bends unexpectedly. There's an under the gun straddle to 6, cutoff raises to 15, button calls. I go for the 3-bet squeeze with king queen offsuit. I've got good blockers, 2 strong hands that can continue, and I want to just pick up the dead $30 or so in the pot. So we raise to $50, straddler folds, cutoff calls, and button calls. Well, that didn't work. Off to a flop. Flop comes 5-5 jack rainbow. Very dry flop. Hopefully we can c-bet and just be done with this hand. We bet $50. Cutoff calls and button folds. Turn is the 9 of diamonds, giving us a little more equity with a gut shot. I've gotten myself in quite a bit of a pickle. Around $250 in the pot, and villain only has about $80 behind. I start thinking that I'm pretty sure I'm up against some jack X holding, and wonder if my outs will give me the odds to call a shove from that player. I think that my pair and straight outs are likely clean, giving me 10 outs, meaning I'll hit them about 20% of the time, giving me 4-to-1 odds, blah, blah, blah math. And if villain shoves, I'll have 4-to-1 pot odds. So in the moment, it seems pretty break even for me. So if I'm calling a shove, I might as well shove myself. I don't know if any of that made sense. Anyway, we shove, we're all in, we get snap called. So I think we're looking to the river for a king or a queen or a 10. The river is the queen! Villain turns over jacks for a flop full house.
Bluffing into the nuts. Part 3.
Okay, after this hand and after bleeding for a while, we're down to around $250 from our $400 buy-in. Let's see if pocket 10s in middle position can turn that around. We open to 10 with 10s. Hijack calls, cutoff calls, button squeezes to $50. Easy to defend against a 3-bet with 10s. Hijack and cutoff say, never mind, and get the hell out of there. So we are heads up to a flop of 10, 7, king, rainbow. Oh, life is grand. We have a set. And we check into the pre-flop aggressor who bets $40. I just flat. Turn is the 9 of spades, and I check to the aggressor again. There's about $200 in the pot, and I'm hoping he just jams it. But he bets $75, and we shove all in, which is effectively just a min-raise. I never expect button to fold. He looks annoyed and calls. I roll over the set. River is a king. We've voted up, and it only adds insult to injury as button shows ace king offsuit. Big slick, do slick big. The upswing begins. Thank you so much for hitting that like button. I guess it made a difference after all. And it wasn't just a call to action tactic that YouTubers use to push their content out through the YouTube algorithm. All hail the YouTube algorithm. Next time we're on the button with king 7 suited. There's an under the gun straddle 6 and a call. I think a flat or a raise here is fine, but I'd rather take the more aggressive route to isolate. So I raise to $25. Small blind cold calls us. Initial straddle calls and limper fold. So we are 3 ways to a flop in position. Flop is 4 king 6 2 diamonds. Checks to me, and though there are some flush draws out there, with my shitty kicker, I elect to check and just pot control instead. Turn doesn't seem bad. It's the queen of spades. Small blind now decides to lead out $50 and straddler folds. And having underrepresented my top pair, I think I still have to call this large around 2/3 pot bet. Which I call. River is the 4 of clubs pairing the board, and I think that this isn't a bad card now because we chop with most king X's since our kicker doesn't play. Small blind now slows down and checks to me. I hem and haw between a value bet or check back, but decide to go for some thin value against some queen X's. We bet $75 and quickly get called. We show the king, and we're good. They say they did have a queen X and were thrown off by the flop check, so it looks like our check back maybe helped us get an extra street of value. Okay, I think I really effed up this hand. We pick up some quartz knees in early position. We open to $10, 1 caller, 2 caller, 3 caller, 4 caller, fuck. We're 5 ways to a flop with a premium. We flop the nuts, never mind, life is great. We c-bet a small $15. We do block top pairs, button calls, and big blind calls. Turn is gin. It's the 7 of hearts. One of these callers is likely calling with some 7x holding, and they just upgraded to trips, but we've upgraded to a boat. We continue the aggression and bet $75. Button folds, and big blind comes through and raises to $175. Now, this is where I make a donkey out of myself. The big blind and I were both really deep. Big blind had about $600 behind, and if I just called, pot would be about $450 and we'd still have $600 behind. I decided that this player pretty much only ever has 7x here, and I want them to commit to the pot right now. So I raised to $400, and they tank fold. They later tell me that they were bluffing with ace-4 of hearts, and they picked up the flush draw, and they knew that I wouldn't have a lot of 7x's in range, so they knew they could take aggression there. If I had ace-queen off, I'd probably only ever call, but me raising seemed really nutted. So I missed out like $200, $300 worth of value on this hand. I should have just called and either allowed his flush to get there or let him barrel as a bluff out of position. Even though I won a lot from this hand, I left from it feeling, honestly, really tilted. That being said, we're sitting on about 1,000 right now. Our phone needed a charge, but the nearest plug was by the player 2 seats to my left. So here's a really fun hand from third person. I have ace-king off in late position. There's an under the gun straddle, there's 2 limpers, and the very confident player I just tangoed with queens raises to $35.
Straddle, limp, raise, 3-bet, tanking.
He is still very deep stacked. He has just about $700 behind, and we cover. We 3-bet to $120. We're really hoping for a fold because we know if he 4-bets, I think the correct move with ace-king off is to 5-bet all in as a bluff. $700 is about 1/3 of my year's poker earnings, and I really don't want to play for it all without even a pair. and he does go for the 4-bet, $275. We don't have a pair, but it's time to grow one. We 5-bet all in. Hallelujah, no snap call. Player goes into the tank, and check this out.
All in.
Do I want to flip for it? Can I fold?
He said fold?
No, I said can I fold?
Gonna pick the card?
Show the 7-2.
Oh, you guys.
I'm a fucking legend. We pick up kings again, twice this session. And even better, there's a race to $12, 4 callers, and we're still to act. We 3-bet to $80 from the small blind, and everyone folds, but Button decides to stick around, heads up out of position with the second best hand in the game, the fearsome King Kong. Every Western's hero destroys an ace in the window. Fuck it, I check. Button checks, turns another ace. Something means they have less combos of aces, but I ain't falling for that shit again. I check, they check. River's an 8 of hearts, I check. They bet $100, I call.
Call.
Threes.
Mucker show. I have kings.
What? It's always goddamn ace. I'm done with kings. We've got jiggities in middle position. There's a $6 straddle. Under the gun who just bluffed us with threes opens to $20. I 3-bet to $65. Straddler goes all in for $153. I expect the straddler to have a lot of pocket pairs that I beat most of the time, like 9s or 8s or 7s or whatever. So I'm loving my spot. Until initial opener now 5-bets to $375. No right way to play jiggities. I fold them. Whatever. Let's see what we're up against. Damn it, we were ahead against ace, queen, and 10s. Bad fold. Ace, queen, flop, top 2. Good fold, good fold. Next hand, we have king 3 suited. Similarly to the king 7 suited hand, there's a bunch of limps, and I raise it up to $30 on the button. The small blind calls, and one of the limpers calls. So we're 3 ways to a flop in position. Flop comes deuce 5-5, 2 clubs. Small blind donks out here for $50. Middle position folds. And this is where my leak in not knowing how to react to donks comes in. Say goodbye to normal Greg. Maniac Greg is here now. I raised to $150, and small blind just calls. And I think they have some overpair between 6s and 9s that needed protection. I'm planning to barrel on some diamonds, but when the turn gives me a 3, it gives me a pair. I decide to take my showdown value and just check back when it checks to me. I realize that this is probably one of the cards I need to continue barreling on because it does give me more equity, and I'm definitely still behind. Anyway, river is the 4 of hearts, bringing 4 to a straight. It checks to me again, and I think for a really long time about pulling the trigger for about $300. But ultimately,
I don't think you fold an overpair.
Oh my god, I have 6-4. Oh, sure.
Oh, god damn.
You don't?
Oh, wow.
small blind shows queens. Courtney's on fire tonight. Anyway, we punted off a couple $100 here.
First time in a long time I've seen a black flush hit here.
What is he saying?
Whenever there's a main flush usually, at least from my point of view, they're always red.
If you say so, Mr. Maniac Real Estate Agent. I guess we're not going anywhere with our ace-9 of hearts. There's a limp. Mr. Maniac Real Estate Agent bumps it up to $10. I call in the small blind. Big blind raises to $35. The same player who had queens. Maniac Real Estate Agent calls, and I call. 3 ways to a flop out of position. Flop comes deuce 7 deuce. 2 hearts smashes my range, but it also gives me a nut flush draw. Big blind C bets $30 and Maniac Real Estate Agent calls. We're getting 5-1. Great price to chase our red flush. We call. Turn brings in the red flush. Thank you, Mr. Maniac Real Estate Agent. We check again. Big blind now slows down and checks, and Maniac Real Estate Agent goes all in. I ham and haw Hollywood a bit. Use my acting degree for fucking something. Slide in the call, hoping to get big blind to come along. Let's listen in.
Fuck, man. I fold.
Red flushes, eh?
How many times do you want to run it?
Once.
You got a flush?
Oh yeah. You're first to show.
I need a jack.
Oh, there's set.
Yeah, I wanted to sour you there.
Damn.
Was that an
What
overpair?
am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Oh, look at you folding an overpair. Very nice.
Damn it. I guess he can fold over pairs. Whatever, we're up hundos. It's been a long session. Let's get out of here. Thanks so much for watching, you donkeys. Please drop a subscribe if you haven't yet. It really helps the channel. And stay loose, play 7 deuce, and I'll see you next time, you donkeys!